What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another live stream. Wow, we got 23 people right off the bat here. So I want to thank you guys, the audience. A few weeks back, I asked for recommendations for TV shows, and somebody told me about Parks and Rec. And so my wife and I just watched the first episode. I think I got a picture of my wife right here. There she is. We just watched our first episode, and I loved it. It was fantastic. Fantastic. So thanks to everybody who recommended that. All right, so we got some bad news today. Clarke Schmidt, and this is how I'm going to do this. I get caught up in answering the comments, so I'm going to go through my little monologue, kind of, I guess, Mike Francesa style. I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to go through my little topics here, and then I'll get to the questions. So hello to everybody. I'm not going to respond right now, but I will in a few moments. So Clarke Schmidt, injured today. It was a common strain of, I think it was called the extensor strain, something like that. And I did some research into it, and it's caused by gripping things wrong and trauma and stress to the elbow. Repeated trauma and stress to the elbow. It can be caused by a number of things, not just throwing a baseball. It can be caused from like tennis and things like that. But apparently it's something that's going to take a little bit of time to heal, a few weeks, but it can flare up, if you're doing an activity that's going to cause strain on that area. And something that I heard from Lindsay Adler on Twitter, actually I think I read it on Reddit. Actually, I just figured out that's where they get the name from. I read it on Reddit. That's clever. That's clever. Wow, I can't believe it took me that long to get that. So Lindsay Adler says that she was speaking to Clarke Schmidt, and he was working on a four-seam fastball. So a four-seam fastball, it's when you throw it across seams, kind of like this. I got my baseball tonight. Got my baseball. So when you throw a two-seamer, you kind of throw it along these two seams, and then the four-seamer is kind of across the horseshoe. It's tough for me to line that up. And you throw the four-seamer because you want it to be more straight and true, but you want more velocity. When I wanted to throw harder, I would throw the four-seamer. When I wanted to get more movement, I would throw the two-seamer. The two-seamer kind of sinks and tails away arm side. Clarke Schmidt gets a lot of movement arm side. I think it's because he opens up his front side too early, and it looked like he corrected that. But the fact that he was trying to learn a four-seam grip, I thought was interesting. Most guys already have a four-seam fastball. It's the first thing they teach you how to throw. So he must have been throwing a two-seamer naturally. But he was playing with a grip on a four-seamer, and presumably he was doing that to get more velocity, because the truer, straighter four-seam fastball is generally a higher velocity. It's a higher velocity pitch. And so Matt Blake and the other guys were probably working with him to increase his velocity. And instead of relying on the grip and your mechanics, one thing that you can do when you're trying to generate more velocity is to try and throw harder, to try and just pump it in there harder. And that can cause you to open up on your front side, which can cause elbow pain. Because when you open up on that front side, it's just like Jamison Tyone. You get your arm way too extended from your body, right? It's basically the same thing where he was way back here, but Clarke Schmidt's more right here to the side, right? And so if you just grab a baseball and do that motion, you'll feel it right there, right? You'll feel that right there. So that's what Clarke Schmidt is working on. They're saying Clarke Schmidt's going to be out for a couple of weeks. He's going to be shut down for a few weeks. And then I would think, because he's such a valuable prospect, they're just going to ease him back in. It's going to take a few weeks probably just to get him healthy. And then they have to build him back up. He's got to throw from flat ground, right? You throw from flat ground one day, you just play catch. Maybe a couple days later, you play catch again. And then maybe the next day you play catch again, but you mix in some long toss where you're throwing maybe from first base to shallow left field. And then, a couple days after that, you maybe get on a mound and throw fastballs. And then it's get on a mound and throw hard fastballs at 100%. And then it's fastballs and changeup. So it's going to take a while. I don't think we're going to see Clarke Schmidt before May. I really don't. Because if you have elbow issues, they need to build you up slowly. And not only that, they need to correct the problem. Now is not the time to be screwing around with trying to add velocity to this kid. He throws 95. He's 24, 25 years old. His velocity is what it is. Maybe you'll add a little tick over time. But right now, you're trying to get this kid some basic mechanics so that he doesn't get hurt, right? So Clarke Schmidt out for a while. The repeat injuries are always concerning to me because when you injure the same part of your body over and over again, right, it's because you're doing something wrong, either in your training or in your repetition of your sport. Guys who have the same injuries over and over again, it's because there's a mechanical flaw that is stressing that area of their body more than it should be. And so Clarke Schmidt, the fact that he keeps hurting his elbow tells me they need to really start over with this kid's mechanics. He's obviously got a good arm, 95 plus, obviously got a good curveball. He's got the curveball grip down. He needs to get on, a plan where he develops a new way of throwing the baseball. And I hate to say it. I do, because I like the kid. He's a good kid. He's an athletic kid. But yeah, Paul Gugliotti, nice name, says he should fix his arm motion like Jameson Taillon. It's not easy to fix your arm motion, but I like what Jameson Taillon did. If you watch, there's a still on his Instagram feed today where he's about to deliver the ball and he's in this position, right? He's got the arm behind his ear in like a shot put or like you're throwing a javelin. He's got it in a really powerful position and he's putting the load on his shoulder and his back, right? He's driving forward with his legs and then he's using that leverage to drive the ball downward. That's what Jameson Taillon is doing. So, hopefully he stays healthy. All right, next thing I want to do before I get into my game-by-game projection, now that we got 85 people on, we've been on about 7 minutes, so I'll get right to it. First of all, I want to congratulate Giancarlo Stanton because the Yankees reported to camp today, and I have not heard any rumors that he has been injured yet. So big ups to Giancarlo Stanton on making it through day one, baby. This is for you, Giancarlo. We're having a water toast to Giancarlo. All right, couple real quick questions before we get started on the game-by-game prediction because I want to answer you guys' questions. What's the rotation looking like? I think it's going to be Garrett Cole, followed by Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, Jordan Montgomery, and then number 5 will either be Davy Garcia, who I'm hoping it will be, or it will be Domingo Germán. Oh, we got our first downvote of the night. Sorry. It's just engagement. It helps me out when you downvote. Helps me out more when you upvote, but when you downvote, it still helps me out. YouTube sees that as engagement. So, all right, let's go through the game-by-game predictions here. All right, so I've got one more question. All right, hang on. All right, THG. He's very high on Taillon. I am too. I want to get you guys to kind of keep track for me. I'm going to go through every series, and I'm going to go through and try and keep track of how many wins we got. When somebody asks me how many wins do you have for the season for the Yankees, I've been thinking about it, and I thought 99, but I didn't really go through it. I was just kind of thinking about it from like a 30,000-foot view. So here's what I want to do. This is just a fun little exercise, and I encourage you guys to go through and do this as well. And Bulldog says, opening day lineup. I posted a video with my opening day lineup, and if you stick around to the end of the stream, I will post it again at the end of my predictions. So let's see. So anyway, back to what I was saying. If you go through game by game, it's a fun exercise to see like what they should do based on the strength of the schedule. Now, nobody wins them all, right? There's an old saying in baseball that every team's going to win 50 games, every team's going to lose 50 games. And it's what you do with the other 62 games that counts. So what I'm going to go through and do is kind of look at the schedule and look at which games they should win. I'm going to try and factor in for things like injuries, and I'm going to try and factor in for things like, slumps, because they happen. And they generally happen around the same time and in the same ballparks. Like, they never play well in Tampa Bay. And also, the Yankees never really get off to a great start because they're a hot weather team, because they're a home run hitting team. So they hit better when it gets warm out. But by then, guys are generally, the lineup is a little unsteady because there's almost always at least one or two people on the injured list in any season. The last couple of years it's been abnormal because there's been 8 or 9, per every single game that are on the injured list. All right, Luke Hughes says, answer my question, please. Well, at least he said please. I don't remember what your question was. I didn't see it. I can't see everything that happens. Oh, here we go. Oh, appreciate it. How am I feeling on Judge? Thank you, Luke Hughes, for the $2 super chat. So for Judge, I like the fact that he's doing yoga. I really do, because it shows me that he's willing to make some changes, and he recognizes that it takes more than just strength to be a great baseball player. So I feel pretty good about Judge. I'm optimistic if he makes it through, I'd say if he makes it through May without getting hurt, I think he'll make it through the whole season. So watch that early part of the season. Also, I wanted to mention that cold weather is a factor. The Yankees open up in New York against Toronto and then Baltimore, but then they go down to Tampa Bay, which generally going to give some guys the day off because it's that hard surface. And then you go back to Toronto. So that's a lot of traveling. And then you go back to Tampa Bay. So it's New York, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and then you're on a road trip. So let's go through the entire schedule, and I'll just tell you the way I look at this, right? Can you guys see this okay? I'm going to move this up on my screen here so that you guys can see it a little bit better. I'm going to try and... Yeah, we should be able to have it all in there now. All right, so here I am. I'm up here in the left-hand corner if you don't see me. I'm going to respond to comments periodically, but let's try and make it through at least a couple weeks at a time before we stop and chat about things. So I'll tell you what I'm thinking about Toronto to open up. I like Toronto's offense. I'm not crazy about their pitching, but I'm also not crazy about the Yankees in cold weather to start the season because they are a bunch of home run guys, and generally early on in the season the ball doesn't travel as well. Now with guys like Luke Voit, who hits at 450, and Aaron Judge, who hits at I just wiped off the thing. I spilled some water on my laptop and I was wiping off. So Aaron Judge, he hits the ball 450 feet, 480 feet. Giancarlo Stanton hits it 500 feet. Maybe you're not worried as much about the cold weather. The Yankees do seem to start off well when they play at home. You might remember the Orioles a couple of years ago where they had that big opening day. Luke Voit hit that big 3-run home run. Now, I like the Yankees on opening day behind Garrett Cole. I just like the pitching matchup. Games 2 and 3 are probably going to be Taillon and Kluber, or Kluber and Taillon. And to expect both of those guys after long layoffs to come out and pitch deep into the game is unlikely. So I think one or both of those games is going to end up being largely bullpen for the Yankees. I think that they're going to have at least one hanging slider out of the bullpen in the opening weekend of the series, and it's going to cost them a game. So I'm giving the Yankees 2 out of 3. I'm not going to say which ones, but I think they're going to probably win 2 out of 3 in that opening series against Toronto. The good news is Baltimore comes to town, and the Yankees own Baltimore. They absolutely own Baltimore. So somebody says that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be playing in Florida. I hadn't heard that yet, so that's breaking news. Where are they going to play? Does anybody know what stadium they're going to play at? All right, so then Baltimore comes to town. The Yankees own Baltimore. I think they're going to take minimum 2 out of 3 against Baltimore because you're going to have Jordan Montgomery, then the number 5 spot, and then I don't know if they're going to start Garrett Cole against Baltimore on the 7th. They might want to keep him on regular rotation, or they might want to hold him out for a couple days and pitch against Tampa Bay. If I was Aaron Boone, that's what I would do. I would go with a full 5-man rotation to open up. Because you have the off day, you don't have to. But I would probably go Cole, Kluber, Taillon, Montgomery, Garcia, Herman. And then you have a day off, and then you go Garrett Cole, Corey Kluber, Jamison Taillon against Tampa Bay. And then you're playing Toronto, and you've got Jordan Montgomery, and so on. All right, so I've got the Yankees taking 5 out of 6 on their first homestand. But they don't always play as well on the road, especially early in the season. So I've got them losing 2 out of 3 to Tampa Bay. Right? So we got 5 wins in the opening series, opening homestand. And then we've got 3 against then we've got 1 against Tampa Bay. And then I'm giving them 1 out of 3 against Toronto in Florida. So right now I've got them at 7 wins through 3 series. But then they come home to play Tampa Bay. And I like the Yankees at home against Tampa Bay a lot better than I like them playing at the Trop. I'm going to give them 2 out of 3 in Tampa Bay. Then you have a day off, and then Atlanta comes to town. Atlanta's a really good team. And Atlanta could surprise the Yankees. I'm going to say Atlanta takes one of those games. So I got 1 game against Atlanta. And then the Yankees play Cleveland, who have unloaded a lot of pieces. Francisco Lindor, Carlos Carrasco. They play them for 4 games. It's a wraparound set where you start on Thursday and you play through Sunday. It's a 4-game weekend set, so it's not a wraparound. Wraparound is if they played on Monday. I'm going to give them 3 out of 4 against Cleveland. And then then they go to Baltimore for 4 games in Camden Yards. I think it's going to be tough to beat the Baltimore Orioles every single time. It's just statistically, nobody wins 50 games in a row against one team. I mean, it was unusual that they won 17, 18 in a row or whatever it was. So I'm going to give Baltimore 2 of those games. I'm also predicting a rainout. Because, in April, you get a lot of rain on the East Coast. The weather can be nasty in April, especially in Baltimore. It's still cold. And you got that wind whipping through Baltimore. I think that's just going to be a tough trip. I think that they might want to rest some of their guys. You might see some Tyler Wades at that point. At this point, you've played 3/4 of a month already, and you've already had a decent month. So I'm giving Baltimore 2 of those games and the Yankees 2 of those games. And then the last game of April is against Detroit at home on a Friday night. There's going to be fans in the ballpark. I think the Yankees are going to beat the tar out of the Tigers that night. I'm predicting a blowout that night. That feels like one of those Aaron Judge 2-home run nights. So what do we got for April? We're at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I got 16 wins in April. That's not a bad month. It's not a great month. All right, so let's go on to May. We got 2 more against Detroit. Day game after the night game means you're going to have Higashioka in there catching. You're going to have your backup outfielders in there. You're not going to have Aaron Judge in the lineup. You might have Giancarlo Stanton at DH. You're probably going to give Luke Voit a day off on his feet and start Mike Ford. I think Detroit's going to take that Saturday game. But I think the Yankees come back and win on Sunday. So we got them at 1-1 in May. Then you have a day off before Houston comes in. And this is the series I am looking forward to more than any other in the entire season. Houston they got a reprieve last year. I only hope that the Yankees can let more than 10,000 fans in the ballpark. Although, this is going to be a big night for content creators because you're going to be able to hear the shouts at the Astros players if there's only 5,000 people in the stands. Do you know how funny that's going to be? You know how much money John Boy's going to make doing lip reading from that? Lip reading fans? Oh my God, that is going to be a hilarious 3-game set. I'm giving the Yankees all 3. I think they're pissed. Houston's not as good. I'm giving the Yankees all 3. And then Washington comes to town. Washington is pretty good. Juan Soto in Yankee Stadium can be tough because he can wreck you in that right field porch. And with all the right-handed pitchers that the Yankees got, Corey Kluber and Jameson Taillon, Garrett Cole, and Davy Garcia, I think he's going to run into a big weekend. So I'm predicting the Nationals take 2 out of 3 in that series. Yankees are going to have a little letdown on Friday night after sweeping the Astros. Come back and salvage the series on Sunday. All right, next, the Yankees have a day off where they travel to Tampa Bay and then Baltimore, and then that first trip to Texas, I think it's Globe Life Park. Is that it? All right, so I think that they're going to probably come back with a vengeance against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's not going to be as good this year, but they're still going to be tough. And Tampa Bay won't be as tough without that many fans. I mean, they used to get a lot more fans when the Yankees would come to town than they got any other time. But those fans are tough because that ballpark is tough to play in. I'm going to give the Yankees 2 out of 3 in that series, and then I think they're sweeping Baltimore. In Baltimore, it's starting to heat up. It's May. It's right around Mother's Day. I'm not sure what day Mother's Day is this year. Alexa, what day is Mother's Day?
Mother's Day will be on Sunday, May 9th, 2020.
So Sunday, May 9th. So that Washington game is Mother's Day. So it's about a week out after Mother's Day, so it's really heating up. In Baltimore, you got that ocean air. I think the Yankees are going to have a monster series. That, to me, feels like a blowout series. That to me feels like a sweep. That feels like a massacre sweep. Hey, what's up, Patrick? Just a reminder, Patrick's coming on the live stream on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Do a live 643 DP. All right, so where are we? We got, I took 2 out of 3 from Tampa Bay. Now I'm giving them all 3 from Baltimore. And then they got to go out to Texas. Now, typically the Yankees don't always play well in Texas. Over the last couple years, I feel like they've played better. But historically, maybe I'm just stuck in the 90s. They didn't play well in Texas for a long time. But, my memory's starting to go, getting pretty old. I do think that Lance Lynn is trouble for the Yankees. Although he is a fastball pitcher, the Yankees hunt fastballs, but he's a high spin rate guy. He's a good pitcher. Texas hot air, middle of the summer. I'm giving the Yankees 3 out of 4 there. But then I think they're in some trouble. They're going to come back home after a long road trip. They've been on the road. They generally leave on that Monday before. Right? They might even leave the Sunday after the day game on Mother's Day. But because of Mother's Day, they might allow them to leave on the 10th. So let's say they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have a 10-day road trip, and then they come home to play one of the best teams in baseball, the Chicago White Sox. I'm giving the White Sox 2 out of 3. I think that's just going to be tough for them. They're going to be tired. They're probably going to have a couple of guys battling some little injuries by then. Oh, Lynn is on the White Sox. That's right. You're right. Lynn did get traded. I totally forgot about that. Okay. Well, I'm still giving the Rangers one of those games. But maybe I give the White Sox 2. Think I should give the White Sox? Yeah, I give the White Sox 2. So I've got the Yankees at 1 game on that series. And then Toronto comes to town. I feel like at this point in the year, Toronto's pitching will be wearing a little bit thin. I'm giving the Yankees 2 out of 3. And then they have that random trip to Detroit. And sometimes when you have an away trip in between 2 home series, like they do between Toronto and Tampa Bay, and then Boston comes to town, sometimes you rest your guys a little bit because you want guys fresh for that home series so they can play in front of the fans, so you can win at home. So I think you maybe punt a little bit in that series. Maybe you start a AAA guy. I'm going to give the Yankees... I think they're going to have a rough series against the Tigers that weekend. I know Tigers are not great, but I said before, I'm going to factor in some slumps and some things that you might not expect. So I'm giving the Yankees 1 win in there, and then I'm going to give Tampa Bay the game on May 31st. So my total for May, I've got 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I hope you guys are keeping track. So that's 17 wins in May after 16 in April. So right now it's 27, 29, 30, 31. So that's 33 wins so far. Okay. I may be off. I may have made some mistakes, but I'm trying to keep track. I hope you are too. All right. So then we head into June. Tampa Bay just took the Friday night game. I think the Yankees are going to be ticked off, and then they're going to take 2 straight. But this is going to be a series split. Players don't like 4-game series because they're tough to win. So I'm calling a split between the 2 very good teams. But Boston comes to town. I think the Yankees take 2 or 3 that weekend. Chris Sale will probably be back by then, so I'm counting on him giving the Yankees trouble at least once. Minnesota. In Minnesota. They always play the Yankees tough in Minnesota. You do have a day off before and a day off after, so that allows you to kind of use your bullpen a little bit more. And the Yankees, I think, have a better bullpen than Minnesota. I'm giving the Yankees 2 out of 3. And then you play Philly for 2 days in Philly. And unfortunately, this is one of the ones that I was looking at before. I feel like Philly is a bad matchup for the Yankees because the right-handed pitching, and they have Didi and they have Bryce Harper. And I just feel like one of those guys is going to run into a good weekend. So I'm giving Philly both of those games. I'm giving Philly the sweep. And then the Yankees going to be having a day off, and then they head to, I guess, Florida to play the Blue Jays, the Florida Blue Jays. Are there Blue Jays in Florida? I don't think so. We're going to go, I'm going to give the Yankees 1 out of 3 that series. I'm calling June going to be tough, but they're going to get hot in July. And then Oakland comes to town for a 3-game set. Yankees generally play better against Oakland at home than they do in Oakland. I'm giving the Yankees 2 out of 3. And then it seems like almost every month there is a series where you don't expect a team to come into Yankee Stadium and beat you. But the Royals are that team. They're a team the Yankees should easily beat, but they could surprise you on a summer night. Ball is flying out of the ballpark. Maybe they got some young guy who runs into, a couple of hanging sliders. I'm giving the Royals 2 out of 3 there. That's just one of those things that's going to cause the phone lines in New York sports shows to light up. How can the Yankees lose 2 out of 3 to the Royals? So I'm giving the Yankees. Actually, I'm giving the Yankees 1 there. 1. So it's 1. So I'm going to have little mistakes here and there. And then Boston, the Yankees go to Boston. I think Judge and Stanton and Luke Voit and pretty much everybody else in the lineup in Boston at Fenway against a team that doesn't have much pitching. I'm calling for that sweep in Boston. I'm giving the Yankees all 3. And then the Angels come to town, and Mike Trout's going to beat you one of those games, and Shohei Ohtani can beat you one of those games. So I'm giving the Yankees 2 at the end of June, and then we'll tally this up, and I'll take some questions because we're about halfway through. And then we'll start off July. So, all right, right now, I'm at, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm at 15 in June. So 15 plus 16 plus 17. That's 18, carry the 1. So right now we're at 48 wins. We're at 48 wins through June. All right, so let's talk about some stuff. All right, so let's hear your questions here. Unhinged Royals. Blue Jays minor league team plays in Florida as well. That's interesting. The Dunedin Orioles or Blue Jays, you can easily call guys up. All right, so let's see. Where do you see the Yankees ending up in the playoffs? I think the Yankees are going to the World Series this year. Either that or they're going to the ALCS. I think they're going to play the White Sox. I honestly like the White Sox roster, and I forgot they had Lance Lynn, so that makes them even better. So SP Slugger says, do you like King or Garcia better? I like Garcia a lot better. I like Garcia better than King, and I like Garcia better than Schmidt because I like Garcia's mechanics better. Generally, when a guy has really good command, that means he has really clean, repeatable mechanics because you're not fighting yourself every time. The ball's going where you want it to go. And I like Davy Garcia's mechanics. He doesn't throw that hard. Almost at 10K, almost. We're getting there. Garcia, I guess, can throw hard. He threw 97 in the Futures game. But he doesn't throw that hard. He hasn't thrown that hard in the Major Leagues yet. So just a little quick. I'm wearing my 1998 Yankees World Series ring. This was my favorite Yankees team of all time, 114-48. I still remember Shane Spencer hit a grand slam on the final day of the season. And then the great playoff run against the Indians. That was fantastic. And then let's see. All right, Yankees pitching rotation. All right, so we went over this before, but I'm going to go Garrett Cole, Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, Jordan Montgomery, who I love. I think he's going to end up being a number 2. And then Davy Garcia, who I think is going to have a good season. Domingo Germán could end up in there at number 5, but I think he's going to end up in the bullpen. All right, so let's get started with July. Actually, here we go. THG has a question. He's my mod. He's doing all the hard work back there. Shout out to THG. Chances that Dietrich can make the roster, hopefully to replace Wade. So that's what I said. I commented that today on somewhere that I like Dietrich better. I just like his veteran presence. I like his swagger. He's got a good swing for Yankee Stadium. He's got power. He can play all over the field. But Wade can play shortstop, and he's cheap. And if you trade Dietrich, you don't have a backup shortstop other than Thairo Estrada, who can't hit either. I like Dietrich, but the Yankees would have to move either Thairo Estrada, who I know Brian Cashman likes a lot, or they would have to move Tyler Wade, who I know the Yankees also like a lot. Severino returns date. Let's talk a little bit about that. Severino today said he feels really strong. He said that he could be back in June or July. I still think late July, early August. I think the Yankees are going to be very cautious with him because he's such a valuable asset. But I would love to see him back. Who wins, DeGrom or Cole? Ooh. I mean, that's a good matchup. It's going to come down to the lineup, and I think the Yankees lineup is a little bit better. They beat DeGrom a couple of years ago, so I'm going Garrett Cole right there. But I would understand if you said DeGrom like Alex does, because DeGrom is pretty much one of the best pitchers in baseball. All right, so let's get started with July. So right now, I've got the Yankees at 48 wins. In July, they open up at home against the Angels, continuing a series. I think they're going to take that game. So I'm going to go to the next page here. So I'm going to write 48 down up here so remember where we're at. So I think the Yankees are going to take that first game from the Angels. I think the Yankees at home match up pretty well against the Mets because they have the DH. And, you know, just if the crowd is behind them, you know, supporting the Yankees, you know, I'm going to give the Yankees 2 out of 3 there. And then I think the Yankees are going to have a really hot July. The Yankees tend to get hot in July. I think they're going to buzz through Seattle 2 out of 3. And then I think they're going to take 2 out of 3 from Houston. In Houston. I'm giving Houston one of those days because it's a weird ballpark. Then you have the All-Star break. And then the Yankees play Boston for 4. And I just think the Yankees are going to dominate Boston again this year. The Yankees completely dominated Boston last year. Boston hasn't gotten any better. Right? Oh, shit. We got a donation. Hang on. Any more thoughts on Jason Dominguez? He's figured out. This is like it's like when you give a dog a treat and their mouth drools. You super chat me and I see it. I'm going to answer your question. I think Dominguez will be up at the end of 2023. I'm interested to see where he starts this year. I think he's going to probably start in A-ball or like rookie ball. But it would not surprise me if we saw him in Double-A by the end of the season. Because if he plays well, they're going to want to put him against competition that can actually challenge him. And they say Double-A is where you should put your best prospects. Because Triple-A is a lot of guys who are just kind of reserves, replacement level players and stuff. But you get your other top prospects in there in Double-A. So he'll be playing against some of the game's best talent. So I'm looking for him to end up in Double-A this year. Next year, start in Triple-A, end up in the bigs in September. So thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the question. All right, so where were we? This is a shout out to THG. If I miss a super chat or important questions while I'm looking at my screen, because I'm writing stuff down, I'm not always looking at the screen, just notify me after the month is over, and I'll address whatever. All right, so I gave the Yankees 1 against LA, 2 against the Mets, 2 against Seattle. I'm giving them 2 in Houston, and then I think they're sweeping Boston. I think they're taking all 4 at home against Boston to open up, and then I think they're splitting with Philadelphia. I don't think they're going to win both games against Philadelphia. Again, Didi returning to the Bronx, he's going to be hyped up. Bryce Harper loves hitting in Yankee Stadium. I remember he hit that home run off of Masahiro Tanaka. And I'm a lot higher on Bryce Harper than most people. I think Bryce Harper is still going to get better. So I'm giving the Yankees 1 out of 2 in Philadelphia. And then I think they're taking 3 out of 4 in Boston. I think they're just going to have a disgusting month in Boston. And then I got them taking 2 out of 3 in Tampa Bay. Because Tampa Bay, look, they're not as good as they were last year. And so the Yankees can beat them even if they're in Tampa Bay. So I feel like the Yankees are going to be riding a hot streak. They're coming off a nice win in Boston. A nice, I don't want to say easy victory, but where they roll over the Boston Red Sox. Everybody's going to be feeling good. Then you get a day off to rest. To get your rest in July, where you're going to need it. And then you're playing in an air-conditioned stadium. I think the Yankees are taking 2 out of 3. And then you got Marlins, the final 2 games of July. Trade deadline on July 31st. Don Mattingly is a good manager, and the Marlins have a surprisingly good rotation. If you get a chance, go look at the highlights of some of the Marlins rotations. You can go to MLBFilmroom.com, type in Marlins, and type in pitcher as like the team or Marlins pitching, and you'll see they got some nasty guys. Put in strikeout as the play if you want to skip right ahead to see the best pitches. But I got the Yankees taking both of those games. I'm giving them both to the Yankees. So what do we have for July now? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that's 19 wins in July. And you got the All-Star break. So big month of July for the Yankees. So 48 plus 19, 58, 68. So you're at 67 wins now through July. I think August, the Yankees are going to continue to run. They're going to be just red hot at this point because the ball is going to be flying out of the ballpark. And they've got, frankly, some easy teams coming in. You got one more game in Miami. I think the Yankees might drop that one. It's a getaway day. Sometimes you're resting people before a big homestand. But then the Yankees have an easy homestand they can sweep. They got 3 against Baltimore, 4 against Seattle. You'll probably see Justice Sheffield, who I think has good stuff. I think Justice Sheffield's a good pitcher. But I think the Yankees will force him to be really to throw a lot of pitches because he nibbles a lot. He nibbles around the zone. He's got good command, but he nibbles. And I think Paxton is a guy the Yankees are familiar with. They know he doesn't have that extra life on his fastball, so they're gonna know how he wants to work hitters from working with him last year. So yeah. So I'm giving. Oh wait, yeah. So I'm gonna give this. Wait a second. I forgot to answer questions after July. So I'm gonna give the Yankees. Hang on. 3 out of 4. No, 4. I'm gonna give them the sweep. I'm gonna give the Yankees the sweep. So all right. So we're at 7 in August. All right. So let me go back to doing questions here. So if I missed anything big, THG, go ahead and send it through. Yankees, do you think any of our guys will make the home run derby all-star game? The Yankees have to have an all-star representative. It's a rule in Major League Baseball that every team has to have an all-star representative. I don't know if any of them will do the home run derby. I feel like Judge, if he wants an extra $1 million, because let's be honest, nobody's beating Aaron Judge in a home run derby. If Judge is sitting around thinking, I've been injured the last couple of years, I might not get that big contract. Maybe I want to make an extra $1 million. I think he would play. But again, we're gonna see how he feels around that time. He might not want to ruin his swing. So we'll see. Do you think they'll secure a spot for Dominguez should he play a game? I don't think he's going to play a game. Will the Yankees live up to the hype? It's all going to come down to pitching. It's every year it comes down to pitching. If Kluber and Tyone stay healthy, the Yankees are going to win a lot of games. All right, so let me see. Any predictions for September call-ups? I think you're going to see probably Austin Wells. Austin Wells is taking BP with the Yankees right now. He's in Tampa. He was just drafted last year. He's one of those college hitters who's really polished. Didn't have any minor league time. I feel like the Yankees might see him as a bat. He's a left-handed hitter. He's got a really good stroke. So I think you could see him. Let's see. Adam Janelle, I don't know what your question was. Go ahead and re-ask it. I'm going to scroll right back down to the bottom. Let's see. Judge said he didn't want to do it because it messes with his timing. I don't blame him, but he doesn't even really need to try and hit home runs. He's so strong. All he needs to try and do is hit fly balls. Is there a trade deadline move you see? Yes. Yes, and I want to address this. During the winter, Luis Castillo was the big name that was being thrown around, and the Yankees refused to part with Gleyber Torres, and I still don't think they'll part with Gleyber Torres. But if the Yankees run out of pitching, if Kluber gets hurt and Tyone gets hurt and the Yankees are underperforming and the Rays are overperforming, or the Jays are overperforming and the Yankees find themselves in second or third place by, a game or two at the end of July, the Yankees are going to get Castillo. They'll have to trade 3 or 4 prospects. They'll have to trade some good ones. You'll probably have to see him deal a Luis Medina or someone like that. But they would go out and get Castillo, I think. But also, Luis Medina is a guy who you might see as a call-up. We had that question earlier from THG. I think Luis Medina, I'm hearing that he's ready. I'm hearing that he's he's ready. Derek, do you go with Speedos or boxers? Definitely not Speedos. Do you like Dave Roberts or Aaron Boone better? I like Dave Roberts better. I'm not going to lie. How do you think the Yankees will do compared to the Dodgers? I think the Dodgers are going to do very well. I think the Dodgers have a tougher opponent in their division in the Padres than the Yankees do. I think the Rays are going to win about 91 games. I think the Padres could win 95, 96 games. And I think the Dodgers are going to be about a 102 win team. Other than Severino and Cole, who do we have? Jordan Montgomery. Don't sleep on Jordan Montgomery. Estrada, low-key 300 hitter. No, I don't see him as a enough at bats to hit 300 this year, or at least to qualify. I do see him as a potential backup. Who will be the next breakout player? I think you're going to see two big breakout players this year. You could say that Clint Frazier could be a breakout player, but you could also argue that he broke out last year. But I'm also going to say that I feel like Luis Medina, who I mentioned earlier, could have that Jabba Chamberlain type of impact where he comes from out of nowhere and just dominates, because this guy figured out how to throw strikes. He figured out how to throw strikes this winter. That was always his problem. He's got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a Nolan Ryan curveball, and he figured out how to throw strikes. He was averaging 18 strikeouts per 9 this winter in whatever league. Against major leaguers, by the way. Against major leaguers. How many wins do you think Trevor Bauer will get? I think he'll get, 15, 18 wins, but nothing worth $40 million. If Sanchez is struggling and Wells is doing well, does Sanchez move? I don't think they're going to move. I don't think they would move Sanchez for Wells, because Wells, even though he's a catcher, you like guys to get 500 or 600 minor league innings as a catcher, or at least a season or two. But Austin Wells hasn't had that, but he was a college catcher. But I don't think he's ready to catch at the major league level. I think Austin Wells, they're looking at as a potential Mike Ford replacement should Mike Ford get hurt. They want to see what his bat can do. Let's see. All right, I'm looking at questions here. Who's a better team, Mets or the Yankees? I think the Yankees have a better bullpen. I think it's going to come down to bullpen. Although the Mets do have a better rotation. Excuse me. Unless Corey Kluber has a good year. Over-under on Kluber at wins at 12. I'm going to take the over on that. I think Kluber's going to get 13 wins. I think he's going to go about 13-5. I don't think he's going to pitch 32 starts. I think he's going to start about 25 games and have several no decisions because he'll be out in the 4th or 5th inning. Somebody says our pitching is worse than last year. I don't think so. We've improved. We've got O'Day. I really feel like Tyone is the real deal, just the way he's throwing. What will Nick Nelson's role in the bullpen be? I think Nick Nelson's going to be a big factor in the bullpen. You always need extra bullpen guys. There's that Scranton shuttle where guys go back and forth. I think you're going to see that this year with Nick Nelson, and I think he's going to get more reps. And I think by the end of the season, he's going to be a big time pitcher. Your channel has grown so much. We used to have 50 people in the stream. How many are in there now? 150. That's pretty good. That's not so bad. All right, guys. I'm going to go on to August now because we're sitting at 67 wins. And I went through and I gave the Yankees that 7. I gave them a loss to Miami and then 7 straight wins against Baltimore and Seattle. And then they go to KC. I think they're going to take 2 out of 3 from KC. I think they're going to have a 9-game win streak. So I'm giving them 2 there. And then I think they go to the White Sox, and I think that Friday night game is the Field of Dreams game. Aaron Judge plays great in those kind of big moments. You saw the All-Star game, he hit the home run. He always plays well in the postseason. I'm calling a first-inning shot into the cornfield for Aaron Judge on that Friday night. The Yankees are taking that game, and then I think they're splitting the 2 in Chicago. I think they'll probably drop Saturday and get Sunday. So I'm giving the Yankees 2 against the White Sox. Then they play Boston twice and Minnesota at home. I like the 2 games against Boston, and then I like a split with Minnesota because it's tough to win 4-game series, and Minnesota can hit. So even though the Yankees dominate Minnesota in the playoffs, Occasionally, Minnesota gets them in the regular season, and Minnesota's a good team. Then they go to Atlanta, and Atlanta's going to be tough. I think the Yankees are going to split in Atlanta, and then I think they're going to probably take. I think they're going to have a tough time in Oakland. They always seem to have a tough time in Oakland. I'm giving them one in Oakland and losing that series 3-1, and then taking both of the final two games against the Angels. So how many does that have for August? So we're at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19. That puts us at 7. That puts us at 86. Does that sound right? I think Lori C is keeping track. So we're at 86 going into September. Is Pat causing trouble over here? I see Pat causing trouble. Top 5 rotation in the league. Again, that's going to come down to injuries. It's going to come down to who's healthy. All right, let's see. Somebody says, I saw something about studies show positive thinking affects your performance. That is absolutely true. The brain has a lot of weird things. We got 15 minutes left in the stream, so I'll take a few minutes to just answer questions and talk about stuff. The brain is a weird thing. The brain can heal you. Have you ever heard of the placebo effect? It's how they test out medicine. So they give people medicine for a drug, and then they give them what's called a placebo, which is just a sugar pill, right? And some people get better with the placebo because their mind thinks they're taking medicine, and nobody knows how it works. There's also this thing that if you're in the hospital and your view is of nature or of a tree, you get out of the hospital faster than if your view is of a building. So the brain, the mind, positive, thinking that you're going to get better and seeing things like nature and healthy birds and people walking and the sunshine, it can cause your mind to heal you. So I feel like if these guys have the right mind coach, maybe we'll be okay. All right, let's see. So Lori says we're at 87. I'm going to go with Lori's math right now. She's keeping track. I don't math too well, so we're at 87 going into September. And I'll start September in just a second. Matt Begley says 86. We're going to go with 86 and a half. And then in the end, we'll... All right, so I had 86. This guy had 86. Somebody else had 87. So I'm torn. I'm torn. All right. Can you tell my Met friend brother that the Mets are not going to be as good as the Yankees this year? Look, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm obviously a Yankees fan. Look, I'm wearing my alien hat tonight, but I'm a Yankees fan, man. So of course I'm thinking the Yankees are going to be better, but I'll say this. The Mets have a better rotation. 100%. Yankees have a better lineup. Mets have a better rotation. Okay, so we're going with 86. So somebody else says 86. So I was right, 86. Okay. Aaron Hicks, underrated. A little bit, yeah, but I wish he would play more. His career high in games, I think, 131. Alex Doors said, what are your thoughts on Mike Tauchman going into 2021? Brian Hoke seems to think that Mike Tauchman was hurt last year and not telling anybody. He had no power. He was not as good defensively, so he's really a wild card to me. I just don't know. I don't think he's going to get a ton of playing time now that we signed Gardner, unless somebody gets hurt. Somebody says they don't like Stanton tying up the DH spot. Well, I feel like Stanton is the best DH in baseball if he can stay healthy. But if he doesn't, at least we've got Andujar ready this season. I think if Stanton gets hurt, you're going to see Andujar be the everyday DH. Or you'll see them move Sanchez to DH and see them bring up a catcher to play behind Higashioka. Those would be the two ways I would go, but we'll see. Aaron Hicks, overrated, sucks from the right side. He used to have an 800 OPS from the right side before the Yankees traded for him, but now he's gotten much more left-handed. Tauchman traded for a new spittoon. What is a spittoon? Is that the thing that they used to have in like the Western bars where you spit into it? Tobacco or whatever? Do they even allow tobacco on Yankees teams anymore? What's the deal with Andujar? Will we trade him? So in case you wanted to see it, I've got a video on Miguel Andujar, and I'll actually play a few seconds of it for you because I've got all my player previews loaded, and then we'll come back to the schedule here. So hang on just a second. We're going to watch a couple minutes of Miguel Andujar. everything that I've read from most of the writers around the Yankees is that Miguel Andujar is kind of on the outside looking in when it comes to the starting lineup for 2021. Obviously, he had that great rookie season in 2018, gets hurt in 2019, doesn't play much in 2020. He's had some defensive issues along the way, and so he's probably not going to be in the starting lineup, but I wanted to do a season preview for him anyway, just to remind people how good he was before he got injured and what his main struggles were. And hopefully he can improve on those things, because I really like Miguel Andujar as a player. He's a fun guy. He has a ton of energy. He has a nice dynamic of a contact hitter who also has a bit of power, has a little bit of speed. I wish he could get a little bit better on defense, but it sounds like the Yankees are going to kind of move him around the infield this spring to see what he can give them. All right, so that's a little quick. Yes, Yankees 2020 that says, you shaved. I just noticed that was an accident. So I was trying to trim. I had my beard trimmer out, but I had dropped it and I forgot. And when it landed on its top. And so the trimmer got pushed down to the low section. So I went to shave and I was just like, and I had this I had frickin' Abbey Road right through the middle of my beard. And so I had to do the rest of the thing. And now I'm letting it grow out again. You can't really tell, but I got that little 5 o'clock shadow, that little Roger Clemens thing happening over there. Lori C says Andujar needs to play every day. I think he would hit if he played every day, but the only way that's happening is if somebody gets hurt. DJ LeMahieu, choose a can in a game. Yeah, that's. I thought I noticed that. I wish guys would stop doing tobacco. It's just disgusting to look at. You see guys getting up there just a big wad, but I like the big league chew. Let's see. Andujar, shame he was never groomed to be a first baseman. They're actually putting him at first base a little bit this spring. All right, so let's finish up. We got about 9 minutes left. I'm going to go back to the chat here. Whoops, let me just try one more thing. Okay, never mind. Okay, so we're starting off September. The Yankees are at 86 wins. I think they're going to be playing a lot of teams that are worn out in September. They got the Angels, who are going to be out of it by then, so I'm giving them that game. I'm giving them all 3 against Baltimore. And then I'm giving them 2 out of 4 against Toronto, because Toronto's going to be fighting for a playoff spot. They're going to be playing hard. Mets at Citi Field, I'm reversing it. I gave the Yankees 2 out of 3 at Yankee Stadium. I'm giving the Mets 2 out of 3 at Citi Field, because I just like the Mets at home. By then, there should be more fans in the ballpark, and they're going to have pretty good pitching, man, and a pretty good lineup. Francisco Lindor. So the Yankees overall are going to split the season series, split the Commissioner's Trophy. And then the Yankees go to Baltimore for 3 games in September. Baltimore is going to be throwing their slop, their minor leaguers. The Yankees are going to take all 3 of those games. And then Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be pretty worn out by then, too. They're going to be throwing some young arms. I think the Yankees are going to take 2 out of 3 from Cleveland, because the Yankees are going to be, at this point, pretty much locked up a playoff spot. Because if I'm right, they're at 86 coming in, 9, 90, 91, 2, 92. Right now, they're at 98 wins with about a week left. So they're doing better than I had anticipated. Texas at home again. I think the Yankees are going to be resting guys. I'm going to give them 1 out of 3 against Texas. And then I'm giving them all 3 against Boston. And then to end out the season, I think the Yankees will all have already clinched. And so the last week of the season, something that's kind of overrated, is, if the Yankees have already taken the season at this point, which I think they do mathematically. Right now I've got them at like 100 wins. I think they're going to kind of let their foot off the brakes against Toronto and Tampa Bay and try and get home field advantage if they can. They'll probably need to win 2 or 3 games. If they get them right away, then I think they're going to let their foot off the gas. Minor leaguers, I think you're going to see Medina make his debut. I think you're going to see, as a starter possibly. I think you're going to see, somebody like a Clarke Schmidt get a start against Tampa Bay that final series. Start against a former World Series contender. So in that final 6 games, I'm giving the Yankees 3 of them. I think they're going to split those final 6 games. So, all right. So we started the month with 86. So 87, 88, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So I got them at 105. Wow. They did. That's it. Okay. So that's if everyone plays up to potential, no major injuries, 105 wins for the Yankees. Best Yankees. And that's not outrageous. I mean, the Dodgers won over 100 games last year. The Yankees have won 103 games a few times. They won 114 games in 1998. So I've got 105. Does somebody else have 106? I got 105. Okay. 105. Alex is 105. All right, I got 105 too. How many losses is that? That's so what's 105 and 57? Is that it? 105 and 57. That's your Yankees record for 2021. Go Yanks. All right, let's get back to the live stream. Any more topics? I'm going to wrap up in about 5 minutes, so keep them coming. Keep them coming. We are at 151 people on the stream. This has been a pretty fun stream. I'm not going to lie. I love doing this. I want to give you guys a look at my two favorite baseball games of all time. MLB 2K7. This was on PS3, but I actually played the Xbox version a lot. I don't know if you can see Jeter on the back there. These graphics were so far ahead of its time. Look at Ichiro. Look at Ichiro. These were crazy graphics. And then, of course, MLB The Show 18. Aaron Judge on the cover. Forget about the Astro on the back. Also, a little self-plug. I want to let you know you can order coffee mugs just like this one. NYY Recaps with a hat on one side and NYY Recaps on the other in my Teespring store. Right now, it's a link in my description, but as soon as I get to 10,000, which will happen hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to actually show images on the screen. So let me know in the comments who you want swag for. If you have some custom ideas for swag, just post it. I'll make it. It takes me 5 minutes to make some really interesting designs. So let's rock it. Congrats to Giancarlo. Why? Because he made it through the first day of camp without getting injured. That was you missed that one. Who's your favorite MLB player? That one's pretty easy. It's Aaron Judge. My favorite of all time is Don Mattingly. Don Mattingly. Aren't you worried about the Yankees injury prone when it comes to injuries? Look, you can't predict injuries. Injuries happen. I'm not predicting as many catastrophic injuries as the Yankees have had the last couple of years, just because no team in baseball has had that many catastrophic injuries 3 years in a row. So I just don't see it happening again. I think they're going to get it together this year. Adam, what was your question? I didn't see your question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This guy keeps asking questions and I don't see it. I'm sorry. Up and look for it. I don't see it. Dodgers Yanks World Series. I love it. I love it. Between Tyon Kluber, that's just the worst spelling I've ever seen, Ulysses. Tyon, Kluber, and Severino. How many torn ACLs are there for? I feel like we have a troll. I feel like we have a troll there because the ACL is in the knee. Voight for swag. Yeah, I have one on there. If you go to my link, it says Luke's Log Cabin because there was this thing on the internet on Reddit a few years ago that he trains in a log cabin. It was originally Greg Bird training in a log cabin, and then it became Luke Voight. Once Luke Voight took over for Greg Bird, people said, "Oh, Luke Voigt's taken over the log cabin," and so I made a Luke's Log Cabin. In fact, my mod THG Wicked 50 cal, he actually bought one of those, and so you can hit up him for how good they are. When do you think Jason Domingo comes up? Do you think Brett Gardner will be forced to retire? I think Gardner will probably retire long before Dominguez comes up. I think this is probably going to be Gardner's last year. Oswald Peraza. It says Eraza, but Peraza is the Yankees shortstop prospect. I think he's in camp, but as far as I know, he can't hit very well, so I wouldn't count on seeing him. I like Tyro Estrada better than him at this point. Do you think Torres is going to cut down on his throwing errors? Yes, I think so, because the Yankees are going to work on getting him out of the habit of patting the glove before he throws and get him into more of a quick release. They teach you just to throw at the first baseman. Now, generally, when guys try and aim it is when you sail it too far. But they teach you when you're a third baseman or shortstop to just find a target and aim for the first baseman. And if he can just do that and make a clean throw at first base, hey, I just bought one of your coffee mugs. Hey, let's get we need a glockenspiel for that. And then we're also going to get the air horn. Where's the air horn? More homers or games played for Voit, Stanton. I'm not sure exactly how you're asking with that. I think Stanton's going to have probably. I just look. I give him a hard time. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. I think they're going to rest him a lot. I think he's going to play about 130 games, and I think he's going to hit about. I think he's going to hit about 38 home runs like he did his first year with the Yankees, just because he's not going to play, 162. So I think Voit at first base, easier to stay healthy. I think he's going to hit probably 42, 43 home runs. I think Voigt's going to have a monster year. Do you think the Yankees should have got Didi Gregorius? I like Didi, but he deserves to play every day, and the Yankees didn't have a spot for him. I'd rather they got DJ LeMahieu, which they did. How many starts do you think DJ gets at first base, assuming Luke is healthy? Probably a few. Probably once a week maybe to let Luke rest. But I think you're going to see DJ playing first base a lot late in games because you want to get Torres off a shortstop in close games. So you get him out at shortstop, you put him on second base, you shift DJ LeMahieu over to first base, and you let Voit have his final at bat of the game, like in the 8th inning, and then you take him out. And then if the game goes extras, you lose Luke Voigt's bat, which we saw a few times, but your defense gets better. Log cabin swag. So go to the description of, it's not on this video. Go to one of my other videos that has the description. It doesn't happen on live streams. But you'll see a link for Teespring. It'll say teespring.com/whatever, NYY recaps, I think. And then if you go to that website and just cycle through the different products, there's one for Luke's log cabin. After a 105-win season, our MVPs were Judge and DJ. Best pitchers were Cole, Taillon, and Glaber hit 290 with 30 homers. On board with all of that. On board with all of it. Although I think that Jordan Montgomery might surprise you. Jordan Montgomery may surprise you. Hey, thanks. Shout out to Wicked 50 Cal. He's posting a link. Shout out to Wicked 50 Cal. All right, we're at 8:01. Favorite video you filmed? Actually, I'm going to show it real quick because I said I would. The favorite video that I made was one that I did for our lineup. You're welcome if you've seen this to leave, but I did a video about our starting lineup. This is my projected starting lineup for the 2021 New York Yankees. I remixed Nelly, Batter Up. This was the song. And I did my my graphical stuff, and I tried to give everybody their own little walk-up music. So that was kind of what I was thinking when I was doing this. I heard the song when I was in the shower, and the idea just came to me. I have this theory that ideas come to you. Like, ideas have you. You don't have ideas. I feel like ideas exist in the universe, and I just tapped into it. Like, it was just, like, they're always being created, and I just somehow grasped onto it, because I don't feel I'm smart enough to come up with this. But I got the idea when I was listening to this song in the shower, this random song that came from out of nowhere on my radio. I was like, man, this is a baseball song. It's really long. And there's a lot of verses here that fit with Yankees players. So I was like, I wonder if I could grab the instrumental for this song and then also get like the little clips from the different sections of the song and use them as player intros. And so what I did was I downloaded the songs and I put them on top of each other. And then I cut out the parts where the music lined up. And then I wrote my script, right? And then I figured out where I wanted to put my music, recorded my script, dropped the music in there. And then I just matched it up with my pre-existing lineup reels and made some transitional like walk-up stuff. So here is my my stuff. This is my lineup. This is my favorite video I've ever created. Thanks to everybody who watched. This video is 7 minutes long, so if you need a dip, I don't blame you. I may lose monetization over this because it does have Nelly in it, but oh well, it's worth it just to share it with you guys. So if I'm losing monetization, I need to get a lot of subs. So if you're watching this and you're not subbed, just please do me a favor. Just please, from the bottom of my heart, do me a favor and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Here is the Yankees 2021 opening day lineup if I was the GM or the manager. Aaron Boone said yesterday that as far as he knows, everyone is healthy going into spring training, and barring any major injuries over the next couple of weeks, the Yankees might finally have that Death Star lineup that everybody's been looking forward to for the past few years. A few people have asked me how I would set up my lineup for 2021, so I figured I would take you through it real quick. Leadoff hitter is who else? DJ LeMahieu, the machine. He's coming off of a season in which he won the Major League Batting Championship and was on an incredible 9 wins above replacement pace if it had been a full 162-game season. He's the perfect table setter for the big power guys beneath him. And when someone from the bottom of the lineup gets on base, he turns the lineup over nicely and can force the opposition to make stressful pitches with men on base to the heart of the Yankees order. That's a recipe for disaster. The analytics guys and gals will tell you that the number 2 spot in the order is where you should put your best hitter these days. And when Aaron Judge is healthy and has a decent rhythm going, he's not only the best hitter on the Yankees, he's probably a top 3 hitter in all of Major League Baseball. He hits the ball harder than anyone, and he has immense power to all fields. He's got a great eye, better than the umpires oftentimes, as he gets more balls below his strike zone called as strikes against him than anyone in baseball. Maybe he should occasionally look for one of those pitches, crouch down a little bit, and rake it up the middle at about 115 miles an hour. Then maybe pitchers would be more hesitant to go down there. As far as Judge goes, if he's healthy, he's deadly, and he's in my number 2 spot.
I wanna hit something, rip something, stick something, hand sagging in my batting stand, setting ready. The pitch coming, double up like Ozzy do, halves, 50s, and poppers too. We robbing you like over the wall grab.
Aaron Hicks is my number 3 hitter for a couple of reasons. He can hit from the left side, so he breaks up the string of righties. He gets on base a ton, and with all the dudes you got coming up next, you're going to want people on base, I promise. Hicks isn't a batting average guy, but he's always taking pitches and making the pitcher work. He has power from both sides of the plate, and if he can stay healthy, he's probably a 4 to 5 win player in 2021, at least. My cleanup hitter is St. Louis native and 2020 Major League Baseball home run champion, Luke Voit. Luke has been nothing short of fantastic since coming to the Yankees. Immense power, takes pitches, great clubhouse guy, improving defense, we think. And you got him for what was, at the time, spare parts. Luke Voit was on a 59 home run pace last season, which coincidentally was his new uniform number. I don't think 59 home runs is realistic for 2021, but his old number, 45, sounds well within reach.
Well known, line drive, head gone, headstrong, dirty and
Giancarlo Stanton is my number 5 hitter, or after DJ LeMahieu singles to start the game and Judge hits a 2-run home run, he's your second number 3 hitter in the first inning. Stanton has been spending less time in the weight room this offseason in order to focus on more flexibility, with his objective being to stay on the field and to avoid nagging muscle pulls. When Stanton hits them, they stay hit. So maybe his home runs won't go 485 feet anymore, but 445 is still plenty to get the job done. If Stanton is healthy and in the lineup all season, do you honestly think he's not going to hit 40 home runs? He might even hit 50 or 60. Hell, he could even hit 70. That's how good he is. We all saw in the postseason what he's capable of.
Everybody like you the best, so I got the dirty medallion with diamonds on my chest. They got me playing.
Gleyber Torres is my number 6 hitter. In 2019, he had a really great offensive season with 38 home runs, and he's a guy who will adjust his approach to make contact and pick up a base hit if needed. He hits line to line, and in 2020, the COVID shutdown really affected him, and his numbers were down, but he ended up playing very well in the postseason and hit a crucial home run in Game 4 of the Division Series to help the Yankees force a Game 5. He also works the count and takes a lot of pitches, make sure he gets a good pitch to hit. I like him offensively. He's still young, so if he dedicates himself to getting in shape this spring and going into the season feeling good, I have no doubt that he'll bounce back to the player he was in 2019 and maybe even get better.
Bricks like a demolitionist, never miss a hit. First round draft pick, money stretched long like elastic.
Clint Frazier is finally getting his shot, and I am excited. He's my number 7 hitter. This guy has bat speed as good as anyone in the league. He dedicated himself last year to improving, and it yielded amazing results. Word around the campfire is he's hungry to take this left field spot and run with it. Aside from the motivation of personal pride, a good season could bring him a significant financial payday, as the Yankees may want to lock him up long term.
Well, you should see me now. White Lamborghini now. Ain't really got nowhere to park it, but funk it, I got it anyhow.
Gary Sanchez is my number 8 hitter. He's still got as much power as any catcher in the league, and he's lost a significant amount of weight this offseason while playing winter ball. The reports are that he looks good, and that's encouraging, but he needs to not put too much pressure on himself if he gets off to a bad start. The Yankees have a ton of offense, and they can carry Sanchez if he's hitting for power, but you've got to do better than 147 this year. If Sanchez hits 230 with 25 to 30 home runs and improves a bit defensively in big spots, I'll take it. Anything else is a bonus. Bullpen in Tampa right now.
Finally see my dream like Martin Luther the King. Pockets fat 'cause I've been eating since a 99. Put rhymes between fine lines. Time to
Gio Urshela is hitting over 300 as a Yankee and has been one of the Yankees' best hitters for the past 2 years. And I've got him hitting 9th. I'm sure he's going to love this video. Shout out to Gio if you're watching. The reason I put him 9th is because he's a great contact hitter, and I want him getting on base at the bottom of the order during the middle of the game so that DJ and Judge and so on can have a chance to knock him in. If Sanchez makes an out to end an inning, you've essentially got back-to-back 300
Just a bit outside.
and then Aaron Judge. That's pretty tough. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel.
Nope.